Now, the second phase of the glycolysis. The second phase of the glycolysis is known as the splitting phase. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. So this is the fourth reaction. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate we have received as a result of the first phase of the glycolysis cycle. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, it splits into two molecules. Those two molecules are 3-carbon compound. The first 3-carbon compound is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Another 3-carbon compound molecule is dihydroxyacetone phosphate. So this phase is known as splitting phase because fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is actually splits into two 3-carbon molecules. One is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, another one is dihydroxyacetone phosphate. So this conversion happens with the help of an enzyme known as aldolase. So this reaction occurs with the help of an enzyme known as aldolase, which splits fructose 1,6-bisphosphate into two 3-carbon components, that is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. The next step in glycolysis is isomerization of dihydroxyacetone phosphate. We knew that fructose 1,6-bisphosphate splits and it produces glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. This dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, they are isomers actually. So this dihydroxyacetone phosphate can give rise to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So they are isomers. This dihydroxyacetone phosphate can give rise to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So they are actually isomers. This reaction is reversible. This dihydroxyacetone phosphate is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate with the help of an enzyme known as phosphotriose isomerases. So this enzyme catalyzes this reaction and this dihydroxyacetone phosphate is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Now this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will enter into the next phase, as third phase of the glycolysis, energy conserving phase. Or we can call it as energy producing phase, where we obtain the ATP molecules that is consumed in the first phase, again released during the third phase of the glycolysis. Now we are entering into the third phase known as energy conserving phase. This glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate produced as a result of isomerization of dihydroxyacetone phosphate enters into the third phase known as energy conserving phase or producing phase. This glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate produces, so this reaction is a reversible reaction. It produces another component known as 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid. Glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is actually oxidized by the action of an enzyme known as glyceraldehyde phosphate dehydrogenase. So this reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme known as glyceraldehyde phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme catalyzes this reaction. It converts glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate into 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid. So remember, one glucose molecule has entered the glycolysis phase and produce fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate splits into glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. These are actually the isomers. So dihydroxyacetone phosphate again forms the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So totally we have received 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Remember, by the splitting of fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, there are 2 3-carbon compounds are produced. These 2 3-carbon compounds are reversible. So they are actually isomers. This reaction is reversible. These 2 carbon compounds are isomer. So dihydroxyacetone phosphate, again it undergoes isomerization to produce glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. This glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will enter into the next phase of the glycolysis. So as a result of this conversion, we have received 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate enters into the third phase of this reaction, that is glycolysis. During this phase, 2 molecules of NAD, that is a coenzyme, because remember it is 2 glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, so there is a conversion of 2, or there is an utilization of 2 NAD to produce 2 molecules of NADH plus H plus. 3-bisphosphoglyceric acid is converted into the next form. Again, this reaction is a reversible reaction. 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid produces 3-phosphoglycerate. 3-phosphoglycerate, and here you can able to find 1 molecule of ADP. It's converted into ATP. And remember, we have seen 2 glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate entering into the third phase. So eventually it will be 2 ADP molecules are getting converted into 2 ATP molecules. So 1 molecule of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, 1 ATP. It is 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So 2 ATP molecules are produced. The next reaction is the 3-phosphoglycerate. 3-phosphoglycerate, it undergoes a reaction. And here the enzyme which catalyzes the reaction is phosphoglycerate kinase. Phosphoglycerate kinase. So this reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme known as phosphoglycerate kinase. Now, the substance that is formed as a result of this conversion, this 3-phosphoglycerate, again undergoes a reversible reaction to produce another component known as 2-phosphoglycerate. 2-phosphoglycerate is produced as a result of this conversion of 3-phosphoglycerate. This reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme known as phosphoglycerate mutase. The next reaction, 2-phosphoglycerate. 2-phosphoglycerate is again converted into another substance. Again, this reaction is a reversible reaction. It forms phosphoenol pyruvate. Phosphoenol pyruvate is formed as a result of this conversion. This reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme known as enolase. The next step, the final step, phosphoenol pyruvate. Phosphoenol pyruvate finally produces a compound, that is a 3-carbon compound known as pyruvate. So it is the 3-carbon compound. 2 molecules of pyruvate is formed as a result of glycolysis. This reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme known as pyruvate kinase. And again, during this conversion, you can able to find 2 molecules of ADP is converted into 2 molecules of ATP. So you can able to find 2 plus 2, 4 ATP molecules are produced as a result of glycolysis. That is why we call the first phase as energy spending phase. During the energy spending phase, the ATP is actually utilized. But during the third phase of this glycolysis, energy has been produced. That is why this phase is called energy producing